Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exclusive Found Space webinar. What matters? A buyer's guide to infrared sauna. My name is James, your host for this webinar, coming to you from the Found Space boutique in Melbourne. Co-hosting today's webinar, my good friend and Found Space CEO, Alex Tyson. How are you going, Alex? Great to see you.
I'm well. How are you doing? Good to be here.
Really well, and it's great to see you. On today's webinar, we are going to cover off, we're going to look at some interesting data on the state of chronic health, particularly in Australia today, if not general society, talk about the health benefits of infrared sauna and of heat stress more generally. Then we're going to look at the strong value proposition that we are at Found Space and all the things that we feel are really important when you, the customer, are deciding on which infrared sauna to choose and for which company to choose from. A few little housekeeping things before we start. The Found Space team will be on today on this webinar, taking your questions and answers as we go. Feel free to ask them in real time. The team is in the background here to help with your questions. Excitingly, stick around to the end. We will have an exclusive offer for you guys that are on the webinar. There will be an opportunity not just to get your questions answered, but to receive a great discount on the product that you are interested in looking at. Grab yourself a water. I've got one here. This does operate better on Google Chrome, so take a few minutes to switch over. But I just wanted to welcome you on my behalf, and really looking forward to this conversation. Without further ado, let's jump into it. I think this is a really prudent place to start. Our purpose here at Found Space, when we do anything, is to do our part to create a healthier world. It's everything that is the backbone of the decisions that we make. And we talk a lot about, the really important nature of the timber we use and the control system we built and the fact that, all of our saunas are taken care of by our staff and we deliver and install. The primary reason why we do this is due to the health benefit. And I think it's really important that we cover off on that first, so we're reminded of just how important heat stress is and just how great the magic of infrared sauna can be. So without further ado, we are in no better hands than to have a chat with Alex.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, I think for me, this webinar is all about sharing what matters. We're going to start with the health benefits, but really talking to what's actually important when considering infrared sauna. We've been doing it since 2008. I was installing saunas on the weekends when I was 14, which was many, many years ago. And we've learned a lot. And although sauna is only really trending in the Australian industry now, we've been doing it for almost decades longer than most of the people in the market right now. And so this webinar serves as a format to share what we know actually matters when you've had a sauna in your home for 7 years. And so let's get into it. I'm going to start with sharing a little prezzo here. Let me know if you can see that, James.
Yeah, mate.
Beautiful. So I'm going to start with well-being. That's why we do what we do. It's all about helping people elevate their physiology and live longer and live healthier. And to cut straight to the chase, the state of well-being in Australia, in New Zealand, in America, in a lot of Western countries in the world is pretty poor. And we're here to do something about it. And we could talk about health fundamentals all day, getting sunlight, eating the right foods, exercising, these kind of things. And I think a lot of you watching are very familiar with the importance of those. And I think that sauna is starting to have its own place as a fundamental. There was a doctor just the other day who was saying that using a sauna every day needs to be part of everyone's well-being protocol. We know that it reduces the likelihood of dying from the 4 main causes of death that you can see on the screen here, and it's proven to do so. So what we have here is the 4 ways people are dying right now is heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, diabetes. I think we can all put our hand up and say that we've experienced someone in our life dealing with that. I recently lost my dad to Alzheimer's after 6 years of diagnosis. And so these things can be avoidable. They're not the way that life has to end. And so today, and you're looking into a sauna, it's a chance to really take a step away from that and move towards some of these benefits up the top: reduction in inflammation, deeper sleep, improved cognition, improved heart health, improved cellular health, muscle recovery, release human growth hormone when used in the right way, clear skin, detox. All these things have all been proven for sauna to be effective towards achieving those things, which is quite remarkable. There's not really a lot of supplementation, for example, that would achieve all of those things at once. And so that's what we're aiming for. Deciding to put a sauna into our home is starting that process. And you can see over on the left there, I have today, because today many of you are making a choice whether you want to have a high quality, well-made infrared sauna in your home, something that's going to last you a decade or more. And making the decision now and not waiting months is starting to take steps towards and away from those main reasons that people are dying. So it's pretty brutal, James, but I just thought I felt like we needed to start there, because at the end of the day, we're getting in these saunas, we're going to talk about core body temperature increasing and things like heat density, and without the context of why we're doing it, it doesn't really make sense. So
yeah,
that's where we're at.
And what an appetite for it now. As well, I feel like, from myself personally, I've been in the health and movement, allied health industry for a long time now, and I feel like the conversations are certainly a lot more broader across the generations, particularly the young, middle-aged men like myself, the elderly. Having great conversations with people with health challenges. People's education now around looking for ways to improve their health, particularly at home, which is why the infrared sauna market is so exciting for us. This concept of time has always been, and being time poor has always been, or time pressured has always been associated with not being able to maintain an active and healthy lifestyle. And we know that sedentary position, desk-based disease, dietary disease, when we've spoken about these things with clients and customers over the years, this element of not having the time for oneself has seemed to be a common thread to it. And we often talk about how infrared sauna is this big piece of the wellness health puzzle, because we can install it into our communities' homes, and it gives people this environment to have a cardiovascular work, a decrease of inflammation, a grounding of the mind, a long-term approach to their health that they can access on a daily basis and still not feel like there's a sacrifice that that people need to make with family or work. We can, with our protocols that we build out for our customers during their customer journey, we give them exactly how to use the sauna, when to use the sauna in their lifestyle while they're making a shift. And it's just such a powerful way to be able to affect those statistics that you were talking about before.
Yeah.
So thanks for sharing.
No, absolutely. And we're here to talk about what matters. And one of the first things that matters is receiving the education on how to correctly use sauna. So something that we come across quite regularly is people will see a document like this and they say, "Oh, deeper sleep, that sounds great." They purchase a sauna, and then we get a call a couple of weeks later and they say, I heard these were good for sleep, but my sleep's gotten worse. And then we say, "Okay, cool. Have you been in our app and looked at the education on how to tailor a session for sleep?" "No, I haven't quite had a chance to get in there." "Okay, great." And so one of the things that people often get wrong is they assume that sauna, you just go maximum temperature for as long as you can. And if I'm doing it for sleep, I'll do it before bed. And it's actually counterintuitive. So one of the first things that matters is do you receive the education, or do you have the knowledge on how to correctly use sauna? Because it isn't just max temp all the time. And to achieve some of these benefits, we have to understand how to manipulate various bodily systems, such as the cardiovascular system or the nervous system or the endocrine system, to actually achieve those goals. And there's various ways to do that, which we educate on. So it's really exciting that sauna can achieve all those things, and we need to know how to do it.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Do you want to keep sharing that screen?
Yeah, let's go. Let's talk about heat density.
Let's talk. Yeah, this is something I really wanted to touch on quite early today, because it's, I've been excited about this ever since it's become a huge part of how we work at FoundSpace, and I know the whole team are. So I'm not going to steal any thunder. I'm going to let you jump into it because it's a big piece. Let's go.
Absolutely, yeah. So heat density and core body temperature. The first thing we need to understand with sauna is that the goal is not to sit in a sauna at a set temperature. The goal of sauna is to increase our core body temperature. In fact, if you look at the studies, the biggest study done in Finland, the kids study that many of us are familiar with, it will say that, yeah, sauna was at 74 degrees. Sometimes it was a bit over 80 degrees. However, if you go further into the literature, you'll say that what they actually specify is that what they're wanting to achieve and what they did achieve when using sauna was an increase in core body temperature by 0.8 to 1.2 degrees. And you can understand that quite simply, that if I'm in a sauna at 70 degrees, but I have an ice vest on, you kind of know intuitively, like, well, I'm not going to be getting the sauna benefits because I'm not getting hot. And that's because the core body temperature isn't increasing. So the goal of sauna isn't to sit in there at a desired temperature. It's to increase our core body temperature. And infrared saunas and traditional saunas do that in different ways, which is a whole other topic of discussion. And so if we look at the heat density, what is heat density? Heat density is measured in watts per meters cubed of internal space. So I'm in a NUA 4 right now. I don't know what the internal space is off the top of my head. However, if you look at the bottom here, you can see there's a heat density of 873 watts per meter cubed. So in the NUA 4, it's about 4,700 watts total, which means per meter cubed of internal space, it's 873. That means there's 873 watts of energy per meter cubed being able to transfer into the body. And that's really important, because what we want is we want heat from these heaters transferred onto the body to increase our core body temperature, right? Is this kind of resonating so far, James?
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So first of all, understanding watts per meter cubed of the cabin. Now, if you want an infrared sauna to be hot, you need to be in a sauna which is over 750 watts per meter cubed, right? Otherwise, under that, you're going to get that sense of, I'm not really getting hot. And there's a few brands on the market who don't have high heat density. And we hear regularly that people don't get hot in their saunas, which is a bummer, because then if it's their only infrared sauna experience, that's what they think all infrared saunas are, and it's not quite the case. At FoundSpace, we design our products to be over 850 watts per meter cube, regardless of which sauna you're in. If you look at the numbers here, you look at a NUA 2 of 1,100, that sauna is so hot, right? And because the heat density is high, you'll feel really hot, even if it's not at a hot temperature, according to the control panel. The next piece of heat density is, once we have enough wattage in the cabin, we need to understand how much light is actually being reflected onto the body, right? So these heaters here, they're not on at the moment, but when they're on, they glow red, and they emit red light, near, mid, and far infrared light onto the body. Okay. And so we're partnered with Sentiotech, who are a specialist full spectrum heater manufacturer designed in Austria. And just jumping in this next page here, what this is this shows the amount of light that's emitted from one Sentiotech heater. So I got one here, I've got one behind me. In this sauna, there's actually 10. The NUA 4 has the most full spectrum infrared heaters ever fitted to a production cabin. And the reason we did that is we wanted to get as much light into the body as possible. And what this shows here is the amount of light reflected out of this heater and onto the body. And the Sentiotech heater is the bigger graph on the right. and a generic full spectrum heater is the graph on the left. And I've tried to make it to scale here. It's actually not fully to scale to the advantage of the generic heater. But even not to scale, you can see that, in fact, the full spectrum heater from Sensiotech that we use in our newer collection emits 3 times the amount of light, both red, near, mid, and far infrared, than an equivalent generic full spectrum heater. Right. So that's huge. So from one heater, just one heater here, compared to one heater in another cabin, I'm getting 3 times the amount of light, right? We've then gone and placed, in some cases, 2 or 3 or even 4 times the amount of full spectrum heaters in our saunas than the equivalent sizes from other companies. Why does that matter? Because by having more heaters and by using heaters which emit more light, I'm getting more light and therefore more heat transfer into the body. And by doing that, that reduces the time it takes for my core body temperature to increase, which means I'm achieving a state of hormesis, which according to the studies is 0.8 to 1.2 degrees increased core body temperature more quickly. And so what that means is that sometimes I'll get in a sauna, or our customers get in this in a newer collection sauna actually at not full temperature. And because so much light's been emitted, their core body temperature heats up quite quickly anyway. They don't have to have it starting at 60 degrees to feel that hot sensation. So that's the second element of heat density. The third element is proximity. And what that means is, how close are you to the heaters? The closer you are to the heater, the more light will be received by the body. So the further away I am from the heater, the less light actually lands on the body. Therefore, the less transfer of heat and the longer it'll take to increase my core body temperature. And the less light there will be to do some of that amazing cellular health benefits that we associate, especially with red light and near infrared. So as you can see here, I have a heater behind me, really important. Heater behind you gets heat into the spine, which is the quickest way to get warm blood circulating through the body. So I have a heater behind me, I have a heater beside me, I have another heater here, I've got another heater here. The Sensiotech heaters we use emit light at 122 degrees and a consistent amount of light coming throughout that whole spectrum, which means I'm also receiving light from the front here. And as you can see in the images here of our newer 2, newer 3, newer 4, we have heaters behind each user, to the side, and in front in the 2 and the 3, and in the newer 4, I'm getting a little bit from here, right? And so what that means is I'm fully surrounded, and the user is fully surrounded by full spectrum light, heaters which emit 3 times the amount of light than any other full spectrum heater on the market, right? And so what does that feel like? It feels like you feel hot very quickly, and it feels like you're bathed in this warm, soothing light from all angles of your body, right? Which is what we want, because that will increase our core body temperature, which means we achieve a state of hormesis more quickly, which means then we have more time to experience all of those physiological benefits that we associate with sauna.
It's amazing. It's awesome. And if you think about those that, the point here is it's still a hot sauna. Like, so for even those that, we take an evidence-based approach to your health, guys, by bringing these fantastic heaters into our market. But it's also going to be a really hot sauna, So that the traditional sauna, infrared sauna discussion that you quickly mentioned before, we've really bridged that gap, because we're able to, it's critical, that elevation of the core body temperature. You get a stronger sweat anyway. So I can hear what you're saying. If I'm getting into an infrared sauna at 68, 70, 69, 70 degrees, the first thing my body's going to do is just like sympathetically respond, cool itself down as quickly as possible, right? So you're not getting this heat shock response, which is what we want. So if you're able to get in with the temperatures lower, as you say, come up with the cabin temperature, your core body temperature is increasing at the same time. You're getting the health benefit of the core body temperature increasing, but you end up with a better bang for buck hot sauna at the same time, which is just incredible.
Exactly. You need both, because sometimes, there's nothing quite like walking into a sauna that's 65 degrees. It's like you get that hit of heat in your face, and sometimes that's what you want. You know, you want to be able to do that, but then you also want to know that you can be in your sauna at 47 and you're getting all of those health-giving infrared rays and you're fully bathed in it, you know. And with our saunas now, like I've had friends over recently and we've heard from a lot of our customers like, man, I get in your sauna at 60 and it's like, I'm done. Like, I don't want any more than that, you know, because so much heat is being transferred onto the body. Very different to a traditional sauna method. You don't need to be 90 degrees in an infrared to get that sense of like I'm really working and I'm pushing myself. You can have that if you want, or you can have a much lower temperature, get that parasympathetic response and have a more relaxed session. So
yeah. Awesome. Mate, I really wanted that. That's great information. Guys, again, the team is on for your questions now as we speak. There's also attached to this webinar, there'll be some fantastic downloadable, there's an article that Alex wrote on heat density going into there. So you can do some more revision. Also visiting our YouTube channel. There's also great content and videos on there as well. I really wanted to talk also today about how we designed these saunas, you know, working in the boutique every day, that moment we get from customers when they actually get to see saunas that we built and how we designed them, the sizes and that the innovative way that we've brought infrared sauna to the market. I really wanted to, you know, talk to you, such an integral part of why we designed the saunas this way today, because it's a huge piece, right? You know, it's just one of these huge factors when it comes to you know, what matters. The health benefit, of course, matters primarily, but how the saunas are built is critical.
Absolutely, yeah. So, yeah, if we jump forward here, customer first design. In 2020, we set out to design products right down to the bolt. So everything in a Found Space Nua or Nissa collection sauna, fully designed in Melbourne, at the time utilizing 12 years experience in the infrared sauna space. And we set out to be frank, to make the best infrared sauna in the world. And so there's some things that are built into our cabins, which, yeah, you could say are somewhat nuanced, but with a deep understanding of what's important. So number one, we just spoke about maximizing the ability to increase your core body temperature quickly. That's why our saunas have such high heat density, regardless whether it's Nua or whether it's Nissa. So you can get in there and you can have a really hot sauna session and you can increase your core body temperature fast. Right, number one. Number two, we designed our patented FS1 control system, which allows one to control your sauna from your phone. So you can preheat it if you're on the way home from work and you want to turn it on so it's hot when you get back. Great. Pull out the app, jump in there, turn it on, set your settings. You know, there's also I can't show you right now, but on the other side of the screen, there's of my laptop here, there's a 10-inch display, right, which comes in the Nua and the Nissa collection. So you can adjust all your settings in there. If you're a business customer, you can go in there and turn off access to certain things so your customers can't go in there and pair to the sauna from their own phone and start turning it on at home, right? So having this system and the ability to preheat and control remotely is really powerful. And we now start to develop additional features into the FS1 control system, which is really exciting. A few other little nuanced features in each of our saunas. We increase the width, the internal width per person. And it might sound like a small thing, but what it means is that most of the products on the market right now, they're white labeled products out of China, right? And so what that means, and I know from experience, because years ago, we used to sell products that were also designed not fully by us and white labeled out of China. And what that means is that those products are designed to maximize the amount of products that they can fit in a container, to keep the cost of goods down. And ultimately that affects the customer experience, right? We did away with all that and we said, how do we make the best sauna? One of the ways we do that is giving more space per person. So I think the Nissa 2 has the most per person. I think it's about 62 centimeters per person. And what that means is that when you're sitting in there, you can sit comfortably with a friend or with a partner or family, and you're not sweating on each other, which is quite nice because a lot of the saunas on the market, you're actually pretty close to the person beside you. we were really conscious of things like internal height, so you can actually stand up fully in our saunas. We made our doors really wide so you can open them up, walk in and out easily. And then we created some specific features around, but the newer is a very open design, lots of glass, even glass supporting the roof on the sides, which is quite unique. Whereas the Nissa is very internal, very dark. We have the ceiling, which is black, and it's a very quiet, kind of intimate sauna. All of these things built around our control system and our core, the heat density numbers give you a sauna which is beautifully built and something that's going to last a really long time that you're going to love.
Say no more. I just got a Nissa too. I'm the better part of 6'3" and a bit, 95, sometimes petering on 100 kgs. And it's a 2-person sauna, and I can, it's great. I can stand up, spread out. I like it dark, red light on, sensory sounds of the rain falling. It's just stunning. So thanks for giving us an insight into how we went about building a better sauna.
Yeah, that's it, mate.
I think we've got to talk about the company, who we are as FoundSpace, and what we've been able to achieve from an infrastructure perspective, building out really what matters when it comes to supporting thousands of customers over 2 countries over many years. And it's something that I found, it was when I first joined FoundSpace, it's the first thing that I was able to recognise quite clearly was the level of customer service. No other business that I know of has such an end-to-end, high-end customer journey, and I'd love to just, pick your brain, thanks mate, on that a bit more. More and more team joining every year, more and more warehouses opening, more and more products coming onto the market. It's just brilliant, and it really, really matters. I was a commercial customer of infrared saunas for many years, owning these things, particularly in the commercial market and residential. For a residential company, it matters. They are highly electrical and they are complicated, even though they are brilliantly simple in their engineering as a user. There's things that often need to be done to this stuff, and being able to offer not just the most advanced infrared saunas in the market, but the most impressive aftermarket care is something that we are incredibly passionate about at FoundSpace. And I would love to pick your brain lastly and just talk to that for a little bit if we can.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, outside of everything that we've spoken about, what we know is important is an end-to-end service. Our products aren't basic pieces of kit. They're detailed pieces of machinery, and they need to be installed correctly. We install our saunas right across Australia and New Zealand as part of the process. And that's just kind of where the journey begins. From there, download our app and jump into the education. As I spoke about at the start, we educate you on how to achieve what you want to achieve in your sauna. We also have pre-programmed sessions built into our control system, which allow you to say, hey, I just need to relax. Cool. And it'll set up a relaxation session for you. And then the end-to-end service is about aftercare, educating you on how to look after the product as well. And knowing that we're always around. We have over 30 technicians across Australia and about 15 in New Zealand. And what that means is that in 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 years, if your sauna needs a service, which isn't uncommon, we can come out there and minimize the downtime of your sauna and make sure it's working well for a really long time. And that's really important because what we find is people fall in love with these products, and if they need a service or they need attending, people don't want to wait 4 or 5 weeks, which can often be the case with smaller companies. So having that aftercare and product support in the back end is really, really important with this kind of products. And lastly, they're not a product that I think there's a bit of a fallacy in the industry that you buy a sauna and then that's it. It works forever. And like no products are like that. And so these products need to be cared for. They're beautiful timber products that need to be looked after if we want them to last 10 or 15 years or longer. And so having a company that can support you when you need to do a refurb on your sauna or something like that is really important. They're not just a set and forget product for the next decade.
Yeah. We quite literally had a lovely lady in the boutique here in Melbourne recently who was a 15-year plus customer of the group, had the same sauna the entire time, is about to get it refurbished to give it to a family member while she upgrades to the new R3, which is just such a brilliant, beautiful story of her maximising her health at home, but also talks to the complete and remarkable experience that she's had, which is just unreal.
Yeah, I love it, man. That's what it's about.
Guys, again, thank you so much for all being on this webinar. These things matter. Understanding where we are as a society and our health really matters. Understanding how infrared sauna can help these issues really matters. Heat density is critical. Working with a company that thinks about the way they design their saunas really matters, and working with a company that has an end-to-end service that is unparalleled during the customer journey as well as the aftermarket care. We've got the team. Give us a call. Our number's available on the website. Talk to the service team. Talk to sales. Enjoy your discovery process if you're still in that. We have the team to support your purchase. Again, any further questions? The team's going to stay on board now to take those questions. What I'm going to do is drop a little offer into this webinar now for, as I said, those who have been on this exclusive webinar will now be given that little discount to take to your purchase, which is just amazing. Alex, once again, thank you to you. It's always great to catch up and talk about these things that we're both, I know, so passionate about. So yeah, thank you very much.
Been a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
To the audience, once again, incredibly grateful to have you on board. Look out for future webinars. This is one that we are really passionate about because we are, just want to really make sure that everyone's constantly making an informed decision. That way we can do our part to create a healthier world. From me to you, from Alex to us to you, have a fantastic rest of your day and take care.